God bless you, woman of God. Welcome to our channel. Today we will be talking about how to store food for long term, part 2. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Rosa. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you have a friend or a family member that doesn't speak English, but you would want for them to be blessed with this content in Spanish, we have a channel called La Mujer de Dios. So send them over there so that they can be blessed with the same content that you're seeing here. We want to answer some of the questions that we have received for our video, how to store or prep food for long term in case of an emergency or a natural disaster or a time of scarcity. This video in our Spanish channel has received more than 57,000 views and more than 400 comments with questions and things that we want to address today. In case someone else has the same questions, we can help them sort them through. One of the questions we have received is, why are you storing food in your freezer and in a refrigerator? If the light goes out, wouldn't that food perish? And the answer is, you are correct. If the light goes out, the food most likely would perish. But we are not only storing food in case of a natural disaster. We are storing food and prepping in case there might be a time where we do have electricity, but we don't have access to food. We are blessed. We are blessed, and many other people, and we do recognize that. We have a solar panel system, in which case, for the most part, even if the grid goes off, if the electric system goes off, our house most likely will still have electricity because of our solar panels. If the solar panels were to fail, we have a power generator that can also help us to give electricity to our refrigerator and our freezer. Same question applies on how would you cook if you lose power and even if you lose the service of gas. In our home, we normally cook in an electric stove range, but we have purchased an additional 4-burner gas range, which we showed in this video how to prep for a hurricane. And we also have a gas grill with a burner for cooking on a pot, and also the burners for cooking your meat, the grill area. And these will help us cook in the event we don't have electricity or power in our home. Obviously, if something happened and we completely ran out of possibilities to run our fridge and our freezer, we would cook this food first. Another question that we get a lot is, how do you store water for long term? The general recommendation is for you to store or save 1 gallon of water per person per day. Depending on the amount of people that live in your home and depending on the amount of days that you want to supply or store stuff for, you would store 1 gallon of water per person per day in your home. If you want to treat your water, if you want to store water in containers, you would need to put 8 drops of Clorox per gallon of water. In an example, if you have one of these containers, which is a 5-gallon container of water, and you want to fill it with tap water, you would put half of a tablespoon of Clorox for 1 5-gallon container. Half of a tablespoon of Clorox for a 5-gallon container. We also have 55-gallon containers of water stored in our home. And in order for you to fill out those containers and prep them for long-term storage, you would need to put 5.5 spoons of Clorox per 55 gallons of water container. I recognize that a lot of people don't have the space to store this large amounts of water, but most people have a tub, a standalone tub, or a regular tub that they can fill up with water. There is available a plastic sanitized container that you can lay on your tub and fill it up with the 55 gallons of water and close it tight so that it doesn't get contaminated. In case a moment of need comes and you want to prepare, you would lay this plastic on your tub and you would fill it up with water, and you would have access to clean water for your use. I would leave a link in the description below. Another question that we get a lot is, where do you get the canned ground pork, the pulled pork? And where do you get the beef that you have in cans inside those buckets? To be honest, I recognize that it's very difficult to find them, but you can normally find them in Publix, Aldi's, and Walmart in the Hispanic area or in the canned goods area. Sometimes they have them there. You can also find them online in Amazon and eBay, but they are extremely expensive. They are costly, about $10 to $15 per can of meat. But because everybody is seeking for this type of items, the demand is so high that the price is going up for them. I hope that you guys can find some of them. Another question that we got is how to store pasta and flour for long term. For the most part, if you don't have a Mylar bag, you can store them in plastic airtight containers so that they can last a long time. You can add some bay leaves inside of the container to avoid any insects or maggots going inside the food and destroying the food. We can store beans inside their own packaging that they come with, but we need to store them inside a plastic container for them to last a little longer. We have stored about 30 pounds of flour inside a Mylar bag. It's nicely, tightly air sealed. But we put the bag inside the container to avoid any critters or any animals getting to it. Lastly, we have the pasta. And we put the pasta inside its own container, and so its own packaging, boxes and plastic. But we put them inside a plastic bin to avoid any critters going inside of it. We always put bay leaves in our buckets to avoid any critters going inside, any maggots eating our food. If you are diabetic, we consider storing some of the artificial sweetener or any other foods that may be necessary for diabetics. My mother-in-law is a diabetic. That's why we have stored some of these for her. Another question that we get a lot, or comment that we get a lot, is it is easy for you to save because you guys are rich. We are not rich, but we do recognize we are a very blessed family. We are blessed to live in a country where things are mostly accessible to us. And therefore, I want to share with you how you can save or store food for long term when you live paycheck to paycheck. When you have low income streams and it's hard for you to buy additional food than the one that you already need to use for the week. We all have an opportunity to store food. We all have an opportunity to save for the future. From whatever little bit we have, we need to store for the moments where there would be none. Doesn't matter if you have a little bit or a lot. We need to save from what we have, from what we currently have in our possessions, so that we can use in the future. As we see in the story in the Bible, when Christ fed more than 5,000 people by multiplying 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes. We need to understand that whatever it is that we are able to save, the Lord will multiply and the Lord would help us so that we can reach the other side. Or as when he told the widow, there will be no shortage of oil or flour in your house. We must believe and trust that if we move in obedience to store and save food, if we move in obedience, he will multiply whatever we are able to put away. Throughout the United States, there are many non-for-profit organizations and churches that do offer what they call a food pantry, where weekly or bi-weekly they supply food for families in need. Most of the food that these places supply are canned foods, canned items. These can help you build your own long-term storage of food if you go and collect these items every 2 weeks. They are every week or every 2 weeks. They are available for every low-income family. This is an easy way for you to save extra food. Another excellent idea we've seen in this last couple of days in a Hispanic page called Castigos de Dios para Puerto Rico. Punishments of God for Puerto Rico. And they shared a list that people with low income or low resources can use to build their own storage of food. And it is for you to use $5 every week and buy certain items every week. It's a 52-week list. I'm gonna add a copy of this list into the article in our website. It's a 52 item list of things you can buy every week with $5 to make your prepper's pantry. For example, week 1, $5 of rice. Week 2, $5 of pinto beans. Week 3, 10 cans of Vienna sausages, and so on and so forth. So every week, all you have to invest is $5. $5, you invest it, you purchase those items, and you store them away. If you do this every week, by the time of a year, you'll have a good source, a good pantry stored away for a moment of need or an emergency. Another question we get is, where do I get the Mylar bags? I personally purchase Mylar bags in Amazon. The links will be in the description below. But I do know, because of how popular it has become for people to store food, there is a shortage of resources. Therefore, if you cannot find the Mylar bags, I suggest you store the food away in plastic containers. I have subscribers that have written to me telling me that they are even storing food in 2-liter soda plastic containers. So use anything that you have at hand to store an airtight item. I personally stored a bag of beans, dried beans, in a container, in a plastic container, for over 7 years. And I cooked it not too long ago to make sure that things were still fresh. It was not on a Mylar bag. It was in its original packaging, but inside a plastic container. And when I cooked it, it was perfectly fine, still in good condition. I know people that have saved rice in the containers, in the 5-gallon buckets, for over 7 years with the oil and the bay leaves, and they have lasted for 7 years, and when they have cooked it, it has still retained a good flavor. If you are afraid that it may taste a little rancid because of the oil, then you can leave the oil in its original container and just store oil separate from your rice. But still store the rice with the bay leaves, as these keep the little insects away. Another question that we get a lot is, do you rotate the items? We do rotate some of the items in our containers, but anything that is in a Mylar bag is already prepared and set to be stored away for a long term, for 5, 7, 10, 15 years. I do not touch those. And the cans, I try to rotate them, but honestly, me personally, and this is, I'm not a professional, this is not an advice that I'm giving you, but I've read a lot, I looked through a lot and did my research, and canned items last much longer than the expiration date on the can. And at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt to store something. If when you open it is good, great. And if it's not good, you throw it away. You were gonna throw it away anyway. Let's try to recirculate our food, but if we can't and things expire, let's not throw them away. Let's save them. We don't know if they may be good at the time you need it. Another question that we get a lot is, I live in a small apartment. I live in a place where I don't have a lot of square footage. How do I make a storage? I have a few pictures that some of our subscribers have sent us, showing us how they are storing their food. I personally suggest that you take a small corner in a closet and you stack up your bins one on top of the other, and you stack up your buckets of rice one on top of the other, and it takes the least space possible. Also, the boxes of water, you stack them one on top of the other, and they don't take much space. So here are the pictures from our subscribers. Here we particularly are using a corner of our daughter's closet to keep our containers. We have 4 containers and 4 rice buckets that we have prepared for long-term storage. And on top of the containers, we are storing some items for cleaning, some cleaning supplies in case we don't have access to supplies at the store. We have some items here. Some people have asked us if we are not worried that we're showing our items and somebody can come and wreck our homes. We are believing that by us encouraging and educating the people, they may be able to prepare themselves. And at the end of the day, if we have to feed somebody, we will. Another area that we need to look at is our area of storing our paper products. We have stored some paper towel and toilet tissue in case that we need it. We also have stored our detergents and other personal products in case that they are needed. We have some extras. In case that we need. Another thing that we are storing in case of an emergency is personal hygiene products, wipes, cotton swabs, women hygiene products, toothpicks, toothpaste, soap, shaving cream, shampoo, conditioner. We also have deodorants we normally use in our home, the Arm & Hammer, because they are the only ones without aluminum and parabens. And as you know, I am a cancer survivor, so we use these at home. And I encourage you to save some of your personal hygiene products as well. Again, I repeat, these are things that we did not get one day to the next, that we have been acquiring over time. I hope all this information has been helpful and that we may have clarified some of the doubts and questions that you might have had. If this video has been a blessing to your life, hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.